How's it going, everyone? And welcome to Rugby Issues. Today, we're going to talk about the release of Rugby Strategy 2020 from USA Rugby. I'll link it down below. So, let's dig into it. Rugby Strategy 2020 from USA Rugby. It is posted on rugbystrategy.us. The big two, as defined by the CEO, Dan Payne, who's pretty awesome if you want to talk to him. Just send him a note on Twitter or via email. I think you can find his email on usarugby.org. So the big two, increase participation, grow awareness of the game. So increase participation, pretty simple. Get more people sit. Grow awareness of the game, not just get more people playing, but get more people watching and being attentive of rugby in the United States. Now we're going to get into what I call lines of effort, or what has been identified as the CEO's priorities for Rugby Strategy 2020. One is financial accountability. Establish budgetary controls and fiscal management. Complete a business plan by mid-17 aligned with this strategy. The reason why these are important is in order to actually grow the game, all the funding that comes in needs to be spent effectively. This last year, the men's high performance and probably the women's high performance programs went over budget. The men, as I understand it, went over budget down during the Olympics by a couple $100,000, and then the men's 15s somehow went over budget by $1 million. That's pretty intense. Because of budgetary restraints, the men were not able to take 13 players to the Wellington Sevens, and the women had to release their strength coach. Although, breaking news that I posted about it on Twitter earlier in the week is that the women were able to hire a new strength coach. I don't know his name yet for the women's sevens team, so that's very important and extremely awesome. So they didn't really have too much of a gap. A couple months probably didn't help, but their coach definitely took them to task, and they, did really well down at the Sydney Sevens. Let's see, where are we at here? All right, number 2, growth and development. So in the next 3 years, we want to see 30,000 more players playing rugby. Not just like SIPT, but actually 30,000 more people out there playing rugby. And that's a lot of teams. That's going to be awesome. And you do that by, building awareness of the game. And then over 7 years, because we're in 2017 now, the goal is to increase membership by 50%, which brings us to 180,000 active players across all levels. Talk about this, it's very huge. We've been talking about it since Melville was CEO, but I don't think it was that effective. They developed a program called Rookie Rugby that took tackle rugby away from the youth level. I think Rookie Rugby should be used for basically U8 and down, and then we should start doing tackle rugby at U9 and U10. It's just really important to start tackle soon and teach these kids how to tackle properly, which will, help other sports. There was a strategic partnership formed with USA Rugby and USA Football to bring different techniques across both platforms, so that's very important. Refs and coaches. Right now, the goal is to certify 8,000 new coaches by 2020. That's needed because other than in college, at the collegiate level, a lot of these programs have between 2 and 3 coaches. I think several programs, especially the Cals and the Dartmouths and the Lifes, they have full-on staffs and they're doing great. Where we run into problems is at the senior men's club level and the youth level, usually you only have one coach for an entire team, and it's really hard to, do things from the sideline. And oftentimes, the guy's a player coach. He's a certified coach, so you have a coach, but he's also on the field. Oftentimes it's scrum half or fly half. Then, all collegiate competitions need to be aligned and high performance standards implemented. And really, all competitions need to be aligned so that we can grow our own brand. Right now, you have the Division 1A teams in the West and in the South playing on a spring schedule, whereas Division 1A teams in the North and in the Northeast and on the East Coast, because of weather, I guess, they're playing on a fall schedule and then play sevens in the spring, so nothing's aligned at all, which, to be honest, decreases value. And then, as part of growth and development, add value to all our members. Bring more stuff for what you pay for. Because, I sip for $80, and then in order to support my club, I have to throw in $300 to $400 in dues, not including travel. So that makes rugby a pretty expensive sport at the end of the day, although to pick up and start, it's very cheap. You just need a mouth guard and some boots, So then the next one. This is very important because leadership. Management of USA Rugby is essential to growing the game. I would say that our last leadership, although it brought relevance to the name USA Rugby, our last CEO was not that effective. He was a name and was basically given a blank check. And we didn't have a strategy. We didn't have this. We didn't have this on paper, and he just went and did things by the whim. And he's now at the RFU. So I guess it worked out for him. Leverage the great leaders already committed to USA Rugby and bring in better leadership if these people aren't performing in a world-class manner. Right now, USA Rugby is going to have an awesome partnership with DC United because Will Chang, the board chair of USA Rugby, is a managing partner with DC United. Will Chang, I think his talents have not been put to great use because he is a managing partner with several professional sports organizations, and you can't really have the board chair also helping manage a professionally run, professionally run competition. But he's probably one of the first guys we should have talked to, and shouldn't have let, Nigel run around. Will Chang should have been spoken with. And he also and a lot of these board members are very high performers in their vocation. So we just need to use their rugby talents and focus them. Because without world-class leadership, and Dan Payne has definitely shown so far that he is a world-class leader, and I am ready to continue playing rugby and then march to the sound of his drum, because this guy, he's one of the good ones. All right, so we've got a world-class leader as CEO of USA Rugby right now. Number 4, recruiting, retention, and transition. Engage members and supporters for life. Regional development. Deliver membership value. I'll get into regional development a little bit later. So when it comes to this, we have a lot of guys that pick up the game in college and then they leave. Play for 3 or 4 years and then never play again. And they don't even care about USA Rugby. It's just was sort of like something to do. And then a lot of us get mad and stay involved, I didn't pick up the game until I got to Fort Bliss. And at VMI, we had a great team. So That's on me, and I should have played then. But I don't know if a lot of those guys are playing rugby today. So our biggest group of people, if you look at this as a pyramid, it goes elite, big group at the senior men's level, big group at the collegiate level, and then it sort of looks like a Christmas tree, really. Then it comes right back and shrivels at the high school and youth level, where it's just like the stem. And so we got to recruit a lot at the youth level, because that's where the future of the game is. The future of the game is not with me. I can be a part of that future. Eventually, I would love to coach a team, but I know I can play a lot longer right now. So transition is, once players do get older, having them certified as coaches so that they can then help develop the youth game. That's very important. And keeping them involved. Membership value. So we pay $80 a year roughly, depending on what region you're in, for SIP fees. Bringing more to that. And I think a lot of that would be, not just referee courses, but like rules courses. So you wouldn't go through a full referee course, but a couple-hour block of instruction on all the rules and all updates of the rules every year at all levels, from college to youth to elite. Because as you know, Eddie Jones is out there saying this isn't rugby because he didn't really know what he was doing. So yeah. High performance. So sort of funny, you'd think high performance would be near the top, but all these things lead into high performance. The more people we have playing in the United States means that the more athletes are eligible for the elite teams. Create and deploy systems that enable the national team to increase their standing internationally. I didn't like that phrase. We need to create and deploy systems that enable the national team to achieve dominance in the game, like we've done throughout the rest of our time. In 15s, for like 60 years before rugby became what I would say relevant to people outside of the Commonwealth again. The United States is the champion. Should 15s come back to the Olympics, the United States is the 2-time gold medal defending rugby champion in 15s. And that's a problem with me, and I don't really know what happened, but I also know that for 50 years we didn't have a governing body for the entire country. So that shows a problem with a lot of things. And, Americans, when you don't have an Olympic sport, so you don't have a penultimate competition, people don't really play the game. Now there's the World Cup, and we have professional overseas. So it's just different. But now there's something to work towards. Let's see, funding metrics measured by win-loss. So supposedly there was a disparity between the women's and men's programs. Reality is of the two programs, yes, men are defending gold medal champions from the Olympics. But the first World Cup in 15s, our women's team owns. And to be honest, in women's 7s and women's 15s, we have a much faster chance to win the World Cup than we do in 15s. Granted, I'll tell you one thing. The men's program, should things be negotiated correctly, will fund the women's program. That's the way it is across all sports in the United States, except women's tennis, pretty much. And you could cross-check that, but like the WNBA is subsidized by the NBA. The Women's Professional Soccer League is subsidized by the MLS. The Women's Professional Hockey League is subsidized by the NHL. Like it's a fact. And if you go to collegiate programs, almost all collegiate men's programs subsidize women's athletics. All I'm saying there is that the women need to be funded at the same level so that they are on a level playing field, but the men's program will eventually support them. That's just a fact. So USA Rugby Trust, increased philanthropy that will push money towards the high performance and elite teams that we have so that we can focus our monies and get the best bang for our buck. Increase in resident athletes. So we need more resident athletes when we start training camp at both 7s and 15s. So that requires more money. Build elite club and professional game training. So what that leads into is one of the goals of USA Rugby and the fifth line of effort is to establish a professional framework. And there's some stuff going on right now, which I will get into in another video and have gotten into in a previous video, that it's exciting to see what USA Rugby has on the professional landscape coming up. And whether it's, I wouldn't call it semi-pro because that takes away from, all the guys that battle and go hard in lower division baseball and soccer, just trying to make it to the big leagues, So if a guy gets $10,000 a year to play rugby in the United States, plus health care, plus favors in kind for a couple of years, that gives us something, and eventually those salaries will increase. So we need a professional competition in the United States that is as elite as we can get, so that can push us towards a World Cup. Let's see. Establish an American identity of coaching and play. I think we're seeing that now under Mitchell. Mitchell's really giving us a Southern Hemisphere style of play. We're playing very physical. This is a collision, concussive, and violent sport. It's also elegant. So we need to play to our strengths. Let's play to contact. Pound the ball. Play relentless defense. And that'll give us a great brand to show the rest of the country. So those are the big lines of effort. Now, let's get into regional development. This is something that was talked about by Tony Bridnell, and the regions identified by USA Rugby. There were 6 with one sub-region. So we have the Bay Area in California, and then we also have Southern California. Rugby is a hot sport in California. Up in the Bay, you have, since 1980, Cal has 25 national titles. SF Golden Gate, Olympic Club, Life West. These are all really great Division I clubs that also have pretty deep structure. SF Golden Gate has 3 sides. Denver, Glendale Raptors, they're huge. They're great. They're awesome. Central Texas, so Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, Austin, and there's so much going on in Central Texas right now. The DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, the Mid-Atlantic. I mean, you need to push rugby in our nation's capital. It needs to be a part of the framework. It just has to be. And then New England. As a sub-region, you have the Great Lakes, Chicago. Chicago is where we've held our biggest test matches and are sold out our biggest test matches against the All Blacks, the Maori All Blacks. And then we sold out for an international test that wasn't ours, which was the All Blacks versus the Irish. And that's, that's awesome. Now, how did we get here? Well, we didn't have a strategic plan. What went into this? Dan, along with George Henderson from the Top Quartile Performance Institute, started working on this strategy and overall strategic plan for USA Rugby in February of last year. Dan was handed a rough organization that he had to pull out. He had a rough first year. Sucks. But like I said, he's a good leader. Like, he'll be good for us. So we didn't have a strategic plan or strategy for over 10 years. In the 9.5 years, Nigel Melville was CEO. And, there was a lot of accountability that wasn't executed. It's okay, because we got this now. Then we're going to have a business plan that goes in place. So then we got to look into this. So how do we develop this plan? All right. So the first draft of the plan before it was ready to be released was done in August. So after August, that plan got put together and just set up, and it was revised by the CEO, George Henderson from Top Quartile Performance, and Dan Payne from USA Rugby. After it was revised over a period of months, it was then vetted to outside professional organizations, and what we're seeing is the final and best draft. Criticisms, I don't really like how it was laid out. I don't really like the website. However, it communicates everything succinctly. I think some internet isms with how they built the site could be done a little bit better. And so, that's just is what it is. And part of, improving the organization is their IT stuff. So, yeah. Going forward, how do we participate with the strategy? Well, sign up for the newsletter. Minimum. Go to rugbystrategy.us and sign up for that newsletter. And then if you want to dig further into it, there is a membership for the Rugby Business Executive Association. It's $20 a month, $50 for a quarter, and $200 for the year. So there really isn't a difference between what the quarter price is and what the year membership is, because there just isn't. So that gives you special access to information, and also because you're contributing financially to the strategy, someone's going to listen to you before they listen to someone who's not contributing more money financially. That's just the reality of organizations with philanthropic endeavors. So think about it as your athletic booster club. So if someone gave $500,000 to the USA Rugby Trust, do you not think the national office would listen to them? So you want to be a part of it? I'm going to sign up. Rugby Business Executive Association is live. I'm going to probably check it out for a month, which is $20, and see what it's like. And Going forward, probably up for the whole year, which will put me about $220. And, I'm ready to continue playing rugby and be a part of the process. And push towards winning the World Cup in 2027 while we host it. You know what I'm saying? And work for it. Go Eagles. So after August, that plan got put together and just set up, and it was revised by the CEO, George Henderson, from Top Quartile Performance, and Dan Payne from USA Rugby. After it was revised over a period of months, it was then vetted to outside professional organizations, and what we're seeing is the final and best draft. Criticisms, I don't really like how it was laid out. I don't really like the website. However, it communicates everything succinctly. I think some internet isms with how they built the site could be done a little bit better. And so, that's just is what it is. And part of, improving the organization is their IT stuff. So, yeah. Going forward, how do we participate with the strategy? Well, sign up for the newsletter. Minimum. Go to rugbystrategy.us and sign up for that newsletter. And then if you want to dig further into it, there is a membership for the Rugby Business Executive Association. It's $20 a month, $50 for a quarter, and $200 for the year. So there really isn't a difference between what the quarter price is and what the year membership is, because there just isn't. So that gives you special access to information, and also because you're contributing financially to the strategy, someone's going to listen to you before they listen to someone who's not contributing more money financially. That's just the reality of organizations with philanthropic endeavors. So think about it as your athletic booster club. So if someone gave $500,000 to the USA Rugby Trust, do you not think the national office would listen to them? So you want to be a part of it? I'm going to sign up. Rugby Business Executive Association is live. I'm going to probably check it out for a month, which is $20, and see what it's like. And going forward, probably up for the whole year, which will put me about $220. And, I'm ready to continue playing rugby and be a part of the process. And push towards winning the World Cup in 2027 while we host it. You know what I'm saying? And work for it. Go Eagles.